Vague, blurry, confusing. Sometimes things aren't clear. In this episode, we'll explore words that describe uncertainty and lack of clarity. With definitions, examples, and images, let's talk about the language of ambiguity. Vague as adjective. Not clearly or precisely expressed or stated. Indefinite or indistinct. Not sharply or clearly defined. Hazy or blurry. The instructions were vague and difficult to follow. She had only a vague idea of what she wanted to do with her life. The picture was too vague to make out any details. He gave a vague answer when asked about his plans for the weekend. The memory of the event was vague and hazy, as if it had happened in a dream. Cryptic is adjective, having a hidden or secret meaning, often intentionally obscure or puzzling, obscure or difficult to understand. The artist's paintings were often cryptic, leaving viewers to interpret their meaning for themselves. The message was written in a cryptic code that only a few people could decipher. The crossword puzzle was full of cryptic clues that required a sharp mind to solve. The spy's cryptic message to headquarters contained coded instructions for the next mission. The CEO's cryptic statement at the press conference left investors wondering about the company's future plans. Confuse as verb. To make someone feel uncertain or perplexed. To mix up or mistake one thing for another. His vague explanation only served to confuse the issue further, rather than clarifying it. The conflicting information in the news report confused viewers, leaving them unsure of what to believe. The intricate plot of the novel confused readers who struggled to keep track of the characters and events. The sudden change in plans confused everyone, and no one knew what to do next. The similar-sounding names often confuse people, leading to frequent mix-ups. Conjectural as adjective. Based on guesswork or speculation, not supported by evidence. Involving or characterized by conjecture. Hypothetical or theoretical. Scientists presented a conjectural explanation for the phenomenon, pending further research. The author's conclusion was purely conjectural, lacking any concrete evidence to support it. His remarks about the future were merely conjectural and should not be taken as fact. The historian's conjectural reconstruction of the ancient city's layout sparked debate among scholars. The debate was fueled by conjectural arguments rather than empirical data. Nebulous as adjective. Cloudy, hazy, or obscured. Lacking in clarity or precision. Lacking definite form or shape. Vague, indistinct, or unclear. The future of the project remained nebulous, with no clear timeline or objectives. She had only a nebulous understanding of the instructions and struggled to complete the task. The concept of happiness is often nebulous and difficult to define precisely. His memories of the event were nebulous and fragmented, making it hard to discern what had actually happened. The painting depicted a nebulous landscape with swirling colors and abstract shapes. Perplexing as adjective, causing confusion, bewilderment, or puzzlement, difficult to understand or solve, presenting a complex or intricate problem. Characterized by a sense of uncertainty or ambiguity, unclear or ambiguous in meaning, leaving one feeling perplexed or uncertain. The sudden disappearance of the artifact was a perplexing mystery that baffled investigators. The professor posed a perplexing question that challenged the students' understanding of quantum mechanics. She found the instructions for assembling the furniture to be overly complex and perplexing. The contradictory statements made by the witness during cross-examination were deeply perplexing to the jury. The novel's ambiguous ending left readers with a perplexing sense of unresolved questions. Enigmatic as adjective. Mysterious, puzzling, or difficult to understand. Having an obscure or ambiguous nature. Provoking curiosity or wonder. Characterized by a sense of secrecy or enigma. The novel's enigmatic ending left readers debating its meaning long after they finished the book. The ancient ruins held an enigmatic aura, shrouded in the mysteries of the past. The enigmatic message in the letter left her wondering about its sender's identity. He was known for his enigmatic personality, often leaving people guessing about his intentions. The enigmatic smile of the Mona Lisa has puzzled art historians for centuries. Indeterminate as adjective. Not capable of being clearly defined, identified, or resolved. Vague or ambiguous. Not precisely determined, fixed, or settled. Indefinite or uncertain. The outcome of the negotiation remained indeterminate until further discussions could be held. The artist's abstract painting left the viewer with an indeterminate sense of meaning. The judge gave an indeterminate sentence, leaving the possibility of parole open. The instructions were written in indeterminate language, making it difficult for users to follow. The cause of the fire was indeterminate, as investigators could not pinpoint the exact source. Confuse is adjective. In a state of disorientation or lack of clarity. Something that causes uncertainty or misunderstanding. The teacher's explanation of the math problem was overly complex and left the students feeling confused. The maze was designed to be deliberately confusing, making it difficult to find the exit. The multiple-choice options were so similar that they caused confusion among the test takers. The patient's symptoms were varied and confusing, making diagnosis challenging for the doctors. Her instructions were unclear and left us feeling confused about what to do next. Abstruse as adjective. Difficult to understand, especially because of being abstract or complex. Obscure or not easily grasped or understood. Some of the passages in James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake are considered abstruse due to the complex language and stream of consciousness style. The software manual was filled with technical jargon and proved abstruse to novice users. The philosopher's argument was so abstruse that even other philosophers found it difficult to follow. A professor's lecture on quantum physics can be abstruse to students who lack a background in physics. The financial statements for the company were filled with abstruse terminology that made it hard for investors to understand the company's financial health. Bemisas verb. To cause someone to be lost in thought or bewildered. To confuse or puzzle someone. The complex instructions bemused the participants, leaving them unsure of what to do next. The unexpected turn of events bemused the detectives, forcing them to reassess their theories. His cryptic remarks bemused the audience, who struggled to understand his meaning. The professor's lectures often bemused his students, who found his ideas challenging to grasp. She was bemused by the contradictory advice she received from her friends. Murky as adjective. Cloudy and obscure, not transparent. Dark, gloomy, and gloomy. The lake water was murky and opaque, making it difficult to see any fish swimming below. The details of the contract were murky and confusing, causing disagreement between the parties involved. The company's finances were murky and opaque, leading to suspicion and mistrust among investors. The politician's murky past made many voters wary of supporting him. The origins of the legend were murky and shrouded in mystery. Recondite as adjective. Hard to understand, obscure or esoteric. The language in the legal contract was recondite, making it hard for the average person to comprehend. The book delved into recondite topics like quantum physics and relativity. The philosopher's theories were too recondite for most people, who preferred simpler explanations. The professor's lectures were often recondite, with complex ideas and terminology. The artist's work was considered recondite by some critics, who found it difficult to understand. Dubious as adjective. Having or showing doubt or uncertainty about something. Not fully convinced or certain. His dubious reputation made it difficult for him to find work. The evidence against the suspect was dubious at best, and the case was eventually dismissed. The company's financial statements were filled with dubious accounting practices. The website's claims to have a miracle cure for cancer seemed highly dubious to medical professionals. The politicians' promises to lower taxes were met with dubious skepticism by the public. Incomprehensible as adjective. Extremely confusing or difficult to comprehend due to complexity or obscurity. Impossible to understand or grasp fully, beyond the understanding of the mind. The concept of infinity is incomprehensible to the human mind. The sheer scale of the disaster was incomprehensible. It left the community in shock. The enormity of the universe makes it incomprehensible to comprehend its vastness. The instructions were written in a foreign language and were incomprehensible to most of the participants. His explanation of the scientific theory was so complex that it became incomprehensible to the audience. Opaque as adjective. Difficult to understand or explain. Obscure or mysterious. Not easily seen through. Not transparent or translucent. The language used in the scientific article was too opaque for the general public. The company's financial records were opaque, and it was difficult to understand their true financial situation. The glass is opaque, and you can't see through it. The meaning of his words was opaque to me. The politician's intentions were opaque, and people didn't know what to expect. Confound as verb. To confuse, perplex, or bewilder. To mix up or confuse two or more things. The loud noise confounded the speaker, making it difficult for them to be heard. The unexpected turn of events confounded the team's plans for the project. The new evidence will confound the previous theories about the case. The complex instructions will confound the inexperienced users. The student's progress confounded the teacher, as they seemed to be struggling at first, but then excelled. Uncertain as adjective. Lacking confidence or assurance. Hesitant. Not able to be relied on. Not definite or sure. He felt uncertain about his career path and was considering exploring other options. The future of the company was uncertain due to recent financial losses. She had an uncertain feeling about the decision she had to make, unsure of the consequences. The weather forecast for the weekend was uncertain, with a chance of rain or sunshine. The outcome of the negotiations was uncertain, leaving both parties on edge. Ambiguous as adjective. It implies a sense of uncertainty or vagueness. Refers to something that is open to more than one interpretation or that is unclear in meaning. The message in the song was intentionally ambiguous, allowing listeners to draw their own conclusions. The politician's stance on the issue was ambiguous and left voters uncertain about where he stood. The instructions were ambiguous and difficult to follow. Her statement was ambiguous and could be interpreted in different ways. The meaning of the painting was ambiguous, leaving viewers to come up with their own interpretations. Puzzling as verb, causing confusion or perplexity, difficult to understand or explain. Engaging in the activity of solving or creating puzzles, often for entertainment or mental stimulation. The sudden disappearance of the artifact remains a puzzling mystery to archaeologists. The children spent hours puzzling over the intricate maze in the activity book. The professor presented the class with a puzzling mathematical problem that stumped even the most advanced students. The cryptic message left by the suspect had detectives puzzling over its meaning. She enjoys puzzling in her spare time, often tackling challenging crossword puzzles. Obscure as verb, to hide or conceal something, to make something difficult to see or understand. The criminal attempted to obscure his identity by wearing a disguise. The company tried to obscure their unethical practices by providing misleading information. The photographer used a filter to obscure the subject's features and create a mysterious effect. The thick fog obscured the driver's vision, causing them to slow down. The author deliberately obscured certain details in the novel to create suspense. Obscure as adjective, difficult to understand or explain, unclear or vague, not well known, not famous or notorious. The small, obscure village had no access to modern technology. The obscure origins of the recipe made it all the more intriguing to culinary historians. The details of the contract were intentionally made obscure to hide certain clauses from the public. The artist's style was considered obscure and not easily understood by the general public. The meaning of the ancient text was obscure and difficult to decipher. Level up your English. Master vocabulary, idioms, and phrasal verbs with fun quizzes. Translate meanings into 104 languages. Download now. Link in the description. Please like and subscribe to our channel.